Hey, everybody. What's going on? Happy Sunday evening to you. My name is Gregory L. Bloomfield, and welcome to season 4. I can't believe it. Season 4 of the podcast, Motivation Moments. It's been a long journey. I know you've waited a while. I've been doing a whole bunch of things while, you've been waiting for this podcast. Took a little break, did a few things, and I'm so glad to be back for season 4. We have an amazing array of guests, and I'm so glad that you're here. Please, if you're on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Click the button for notifications. We'd love to have you as a subscriber so you get notified of our content and you can join this wonderful community. And if you're on Facebook, please follow the page Motivation Moments with Gregory Bloomfield. And please interact. Please, comment. Please say things. And let us know how you're feeling. Ask questions, have comments. We want this to be as interactive as possible. Thank you so much to our wonderful producer, Dr. Alonda Kusamo, who always has the best music to intros and outros for this wonderful podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who's watching. Can you put in the chat where you're watching from? I know I got people from America. I know I got people from Canada. And I got people from, believe it or not, Colombia and South Africa. But I want to give a special shout out to my new friends and family that I met for the first time in the UK. I had a wonderful time. I just came back from the UK tour from my best-selling book, The 522 Man, and it was amazing. Shout out to everyone there, especially to the Lusham Seventh-day Adventist Church who hosted it, who had me be their speaker for men's ministry. We had 20 men rededicate their lives to Christ. So I'm so happy to see that. People came up to the altar and said, you know what? Yes, I want to be a man of principle and of integrity. So I was so proud to see that. And special shout out to the one who arranged this event was Julie Corian in the UK from Lusham Church, my good friend who put up with me and showed me around London. It was great. And the men's ministry retreat that happened out there where we climbed a mountain and came back down. So I'm going to be posting some of these photos on my social media pages. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I hope to do that this week at some point in time. And I also want to say shout out to Brother Ray Patrick from Adventist Radio in London and Premier Gospel Radio as well, who had me be a host there in the men's walking group. I can proudly say that the tour was a sellout. I came to England with a full suitcase, and I came back with an empty suitcase. All the books that I brought in, people were hungry to purchase them. So I thank the UK for such a wonderful time. I also want to talk about my new book that's going to be coming out. Yes, I'm on book number 4. Book number 4. And this book is, we can put it on the screen. You saw it. It's called You Love Me. You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me? And this book is very special because it's myself and 14 other African-American men are dealing with the topic on what does it mean to respect your man. This is going to be a game changer for relationships, for marriages. And this is written from a male perspective. These are men of faith, and we're explaining what that basically means to us. And our launch party is going to be on September the 12th on YouTube and Facebook, all the platforms you see there. Shout out to P. Coffee Brown and DFG Publishing House and all the amazing authors that are on this book. This book is going to be amazing. So if you want to pre-order a copy, you still can at my website, which is www.sisterpamelapublishing.com. So if you want to pre-order a copy of the book now, you need to pre-order between now and Tuesday. The price goes up when we do the release. So you want to get it at the price that's listed on the flyer. So please order it at sisterpamelapublishing.com. Now, I've said enough. I want to get right into our special guest. He is not a stranger to me. I've known him even before the beard. Hallelujah. And I actually know his family very well. His name is Robert Kennedy III. And for those of you who don't know who Robert Kennedy III, oh, there he is right there. Allow me, allow me to introduce you to him. Now, Robert Kennedy is the founder. Oh, look at them. Hey, you got. I guess you kind of do this for a living, right? Yeah. He is the founder, and so let me introduce you, man. Founder and CEO of Kinetic Communications. He is a leading communications and presentation trainer for specifically the real estate industry, but he's a keynote speaker and does workshops, coaching, consulting, and emceeing. So he knows how to tell stories, he knows how to host, he knows how to train, he knows how to motivate. And of course, this is motivation moment. So we get the best guests that can motivate people in the Lord. So he speaks at corporations, at companies. He also does work with governments and with faith-based organizations. He started off as a real estate agent. Then he transitioned to being a news anchor, and he was a voiceover artist and an e-learning developer. And all of these things has been the pathway to where he is today. But most importantly, he's a man who loves God. He is a loving husband, and he has wonderful kids. 2 kids, right? 3 kids. I'm sorry, 3 kids.
Yeah.
Right. So he is honestly, he's a guy I really look up to. He seems like he got it all together, you know. That's what it seems like to me. So, I really want to salute him in a special way, and I welcome him to being our first guest, kicking off season 4 of Motivation Moments with Gregory Bloomfield. Welcome, RK3. Welcome, Robert Kennedy III.
Hey, man, listen, this is show number 1 of the season. I want us to enter this thing with a little energy and do a little dance break real quick. You ready? All I need you to do is say, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Robert Kennedy III. You ready?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ready. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the one and only Robert Kennedy III. Hey! Yes, sir. Oh, wow. We got the graphics. We got Tony the Tiger. Okay. Hey! Yes, sir. You can tell we know each other, right? What is that cow doing?
Oh, what's going on, Gregory? How you doing, my brother?
That was dope. I really like that.
So yeah,
let me tell you, and this ties into our theme for the month, and the theme is you are going to win. Everybody put that in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. You are going to win. All right. Yeah. I don't know how to say it in Spanish, but if you can say it in Spanish, you are going to win. Put that in the comments right now, because that's the theme for this month. You are going to win. So we're going to be talking about winning. It's time. This is harvest time. This is the end of the third quarter. You are going to win. This is what we're going to be talking about. So, Robert, how you feeling, dude?
I'm fantastic, brother. Life is good. I cannot complain. I am above ground. I'm breathing. Man, anything else in life is secondary. Anything else doesn't even matter, because God's seen fit to make me see one more day. As my pastor says, I'm so thankful that last night was not my last night. So I'm just glad. I'm just glad to be here, brother.
Any day above ground is a good day, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that you wake up, you have hope. And I really believe the fact that you can make it right, or you can try something new, the fact that you can do this, the fact that you can you know, do this or whatever, you're winning. Because
Yeah.
some people can't even do that. So we have a lot to give the Lord praise and honor, right? So
Yeah.
let's get right into it. So what does winning? I'm talking about you are going to win.
Yeah.
Let's make it personal. What does winning look like to you?
Brother, we just talked about it. I
I,
mean,
yeah.
you get up, you win, right? I think
Mm,
a lot of times when we talk about winning, we really come from this place of comparison. It's like, am I doing better than this person? Am I reaching this level or this standard? And we live in a social media generation where we're on IG, we're on Threads now, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, and we're comparing our lives to
mhm.
these other people. And if we don't meet up to those standards, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm totally failing. I'm not winning. I'm losing. I'm behind. I'm not enough. And winning, man, everybody's winning. Everybody's finish line, everybody's milestones are different. And so for me, winning is number one, breathing. Number two, my family is together. We're they're happy. You know,
Mm.
I've got three kids. My daughter's a junior in college. My sons are freshmen and not freshmen. Oh my gosh, senior and sophomore in high school, and they're doing well. They're leaders. They're just, man. My life is great, dude.
Yeah,
I can't complain, man.
yeah, man.
I'm not in a hospital somewhere. That's I man. I'm winning every day, winning
Yeah,
every moment of every day, dude.
yeah. Like, thank you for saying that because not even 2 hours ago,
Mm,
my mother's here. Shout out to my mom who's watching. She's here. She's actually in the house upstairs, but she's watching the broadcast.
mm,
And just not that long ago, my kids were here too. So my mother and my kids, her grandkids, they don't see each other often. And we
mm.
were able to like eat a meal together and
Yep.
watch television, watch the Patriots lose, unfortunately. But we were able to watch the game, hang out, and just coexist. Shout out to the Patriots fans. Eagles fans, I'm not. Yeah, they put your hand up. You better play that music again. All you Eagles fans, you reap what you sow. That's why you. Anyway, the point of the matter is this: is that listen, we have those moments. The fact that my children are doing well. My son is a junior in high school, and
Mm.
he is now a starter on his football team. He's a corner,
Love it.
right?
Love it.
My daughter made she's now a freshman in the same high school, and
Mm.
she's on the volleyball team. I'm getting ready to see her game tomorrow. You know, my mother is in good health. We were able to go to England together and see our family in London, and she could see me preach in front of
Yeah.
all this audience in this church, in Lucian Church, and it was just such a wonderful thing. So the thing that also makes it a winning season is that I know what it is to lose,
Mm.
and winning is a lot better. And I just want to encourage someone
Yeah.
that if you really take the time to look over your life, it may not be exactly what you want it to be,
Mm.
but you are a winner.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, man, if I were to respond to that, I love that you used the word season
Mm,
after your winning, because a lot of times we think about winning as this binary thing. Either I'm winning or I'm losing. And we look at our lives as, oh my gosh, I'm always losing. And even in the losing, even in the moments of failure, even in the moments where you have not reached your potential, there's opportunity there,
mm,
right? There's stuff to learn, there's feedback. I think in every loss. So let's talk about the Patriots for a second, right? So Tom Brady, who was a former Patriots coach, now not coach, quarterback, now retired, went to the Super Bowl 9 times, right? And there were two of those that he lost in painstaking fashion, right? But do you think that in losing the Super Bowl, Tom Brady was like, oh my gosh, the earth has ended. My life is done. I will never play football again. He's like, nope, let me go back to the drawing board. Let me figure out what was the thing that we missed this season so that we can get back there the
mm,
next time. Right. And so that's what winning is. Winning's a mindset. Winning is not a physical state that you are always in or not in. It's
mm,
it's how you operate and or how you approach whatever happens to you in life. I look at motivational speaker Nick Vujicic. If you've never heard about him, look him up. Nick Vujicic was born without arms and without legs, right? So he's got a couple of appendages that he's able to kind of waddle around if he's on a table or something of that nature. But he's one of the top earning motivational speakers in the world. You think somebody that was born like that would say, "Oh my gosh, my life is over. I'm losing. Why would God create me this way?" Right? But what he did was, I don't know what his life was like, and I don't even know how I would have responded if I was born that way. But he's turned his stuff, right? He's turned his mess into his message, right? It's his thing that he's able to share with the world. And people look at this guy and they're like, well, dude, if this guy can be optimistic, if this guy can have a positive spin on every day,
right?
What am I doing? Complaining.
What's wrong with
me? They messed up my order at Arby's. Why am I? What is it that I'm doing? Why am I complaining about stuff? I mean, it's the mindset. You got to wake up with that mindset, and that's how you determine whether you're a winner or not, man. Yeah.
So many people, if you really look hard over your life, there's something that you can be thankful for, and you can say, I succeeded in that. And I've also heard some motivational speakers. I think it was Lewis Howes was talking about, if you do the best thing that you can do first thing in the morning is obviously pray and meditate, but make up your bed. If you do nothing else right, if the day goes to hell in a handbasket, at least you can look back in your day and say, at least I made up my bed. Start with the small victories, because many times we're looking at like huge victories and mountain moving experiences. No, man, you drove from point A to point B and there was no accidents. Forget your car, like the type of car you have. The fact that you got there, right? That's a victory in itself. So we should focus on the little things, and then we'll be even more appreciative of the big things. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about failure, right? So we touched on this a little bit, but we're going to maybe do a deeper dive, because not everybody who's on this podcast, who's listening to us, whether live or on the archive, feels like a winner, right? No matter what we tell them, they're going to say like, man, y'all are too happy, really, like, I'm not really feeling it. So for those who might have failed in something, could be a business, it could be at a job, it could be in a marriage, it could be they feel that they made mistakes with raising their kids or in a relationship or whatever it may be. How can you fail at something and still be a winner, even in the midst of the failure? Let's talk about that.
So I want to contextualize this a little bit. I want to go back to the word failure, because a lot of times we think about the word failure as a negative thing. We think about failure as an obstacle, or we think about it as the end of something. So I want to give a couple examples. So let's go to example number one. You go to the gym and you're trying to make your muscles bigger, right? So your trainer then says, do a set of 10. You do your set of 10, right? Then the trainer says, okay, put some more weight on it and do a set of 8. You do your set of 8. The trainer then puts more weight on it and says, okay, now lift until failure, right? So you're now pushing until you can't push anymore. Now, it might seem like, okay, I'm not pushing anymore. I can't lift anymore, so I can't lift any more weight. But what's happened is at failure is you're literally tearing muscle fibers. You're tearing muscle fibers and moving them out of the way to make space for the stronger, longer muscle fibers to grow, right? So this thing, you're going to failure, and in that failure, there's this pain, right? And we've all heard the phrase, no pain, no gain, right? So I'm pushing to failure. I'm actually embracing failure. I'm actually seeking failure
Mm,
so that my muscle, boom, can get larger, right? So that my strength can increase.
right.
So I did a podcast like a few weeks back, and I, when we were talking about the word fail, and we used fail as an acronym and identified as it as first attempt in learning, right? If I think
We need to
about,
write that down. We need to put that
yeah,
in there. Yeah, yeah. If we put that, let's put that in the chat. Let's put that in the
yeah,
chat. Let's put it on the screen. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, if we think about babies,
Yeah.
babies, they're born, and and we want them to walk and talk and do all these things, and babies, for a good portion of the first couple of years of their lives, they're falling, they're failing. They stand up and they, bam, on the
Yeah.
ground, and they're
Mhm.
failing. And we don't say to them, "Oh my gosh, you're such a doggone failure. You're never going to amount to anything. You're
Mm.
such a wimp." We don't say that stuff to them because we know, okay, yeah, in order for them to begin to walk, in order for them to begin to move forward, in order for them to win, they've
Yes.
got to understand the process of balance. And in order to understand the process of balance, there's going to be some falls. They've got to step left, right. They've got to figure out how these things work. And so I don't know where it switches. Somewhere along the way, we begin to look at failure as this thing, but failure is a teacher. Failure, every time something doesn't work out, I ask myself, what's the lesson
Yes.
inside of that? What did I learn from that? And how can I use that as a stepping stone to my next win?
Yeah. And those are really that fail acronym. Could you say that one more time? Just fit
First attempt in learning.
first attempt in learning. Let's get that. And I think that's really important that we understand that concept, because going back to your analogy with doing weights, we talk
Mhm.
about like I go to the gym as well, and one of the things is that we talk about the positive and the negative in the
Mm.
motion, the kinetic motion that we're doing
Yeah.
and working out. It's not the positive. It's not, let's use bench pressing, for example. It's
Yeah.
not the lifting the weight away from you that builds the muscle. It's
Mm.
the slow burn when you bring it back. It's the negative that builds the muscle. So
Yeah.
oftentimes, the negative thing that happened to you is
Yeah.
what's making you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it from a short view, it looks like it's the worst thing in the world. And it could feel that way. It could feel devastating. But the one thing that I've always said, thank you, Dr. Londa, one thing that I'll always say, and I wrote this in the first part of my book, 522 Man, is just because you failed at something does not define you as a failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm a divorced man. It does not mean that the marriage failed, but it does not mean that I'm a failure at being a husband. I just got to go back and say, you know what? Maybe I need to look at what I did wrong. Maybe I chose the wrong woman. Maybe the whole foundation was incorrect. And now I have more wisdom to make the right choice when that time is applicable. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important for us to change our context and perspective when it comes to
Yeah.
looking at the failures in our life, so that we ultimately are a winner because we learned the lesson.
Yeah. So I want to point on something you said, and I want to go back to when you talked about choosing the right woman. And I don't want to talk about women specifically, but I think sometimes we make the right choice, but we're not ready for that choice.
That's
There's
true as well.
sometimes that we make the right choice, and we ourselves, and I'm not just relating this to marriage. There's sometimes that we ourselves are not at the place where we are ready or willing to do some of the work that it would take in order to make that right choice
Right.
work in the way that it needs to. So and I bring that up. I bring that up because I really want, as people walk away from here, um, I want us to think about what is the internal work that I need to do as well,
Mhm.
rather than just what choice do I need to make. Yeah, the choice is absolutely a piece of it. But as I fail, as I mess up, there's some things that I look at. Okay, what did I learn? Number one, but what is it about me that I need to either adjust, or what am I noticing about who I'm becoming because of that failure?
Yeah. No, no,
Right. So
and you're
yeah.
right. It's like, so a lot of times we just stop at the failure but not do the
Hmm.
inner work. And I think one of the biggest victories is to admit that you failed.
Hmm.
I think and also the accountability that I contributed to it. It's
Yeah.
not that you beat yourself over the head, but it's doing an honest look to say, you know what, I didn't, it was not all that person's fault or that job's
Hmm.
fault. But you know what? Especially if you've had a lot of failures in the same area,
Hmm.
you're the common denominator. So maybe
Right.
the problem is not everybody's crazy.
Right.
Maybe the problem is you, and you need to work on it. And once you get that aha moment, I
Hmm.
believe that's the pathway to victory, because
Yeah.
now you have the opportunity to change.
Yeah.
So I think it's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I bring that up as well because a lot of times when we're in situations, we're trying to change people, we're trying to change the situation, we're trying to change the things that are external to us, and the only thing that we really have control over is us. The only thing that we have control over is our mindset, how we see a situation, how we interact with the situation, the choices that we make, the words that we say. And that's why when people are in stuff and they respond a certain way, for example, sometimes one of the things that I choose not to respond to online, when I see people post something, right, and they'll post something, and then after that they'll put "fight me," or they'll put "I said what I said," right, and or it's that's just how I am. Mm, that's how you choose to be.
Exactly.
Right, that is how you choose to be in that situation. And I think each of us, if we decide that we're going to look for what result do I want, or who do I want to become, then we can more intentionally make choices about what will lead to that. There's this
Yeah.
great book by Michael Hyatt and Daniel Harkavy called Living Forward. And I want to encourage everybody to take on this exercise. There's an exercise in there where they ask you to write your eulogy,
Oh wow.
right? And you write your eulogy, and in that eulogy, you think about what are all the things you want to hear people say about you when you're no longer here. And when you understand that, and when you write that down, then you can intentionally step into that while
Yeah.
you're living. If I wanted my kids to say, Dad, he always spent time with us. Dad, he was always willing to listen, right? He
Hmm.
was always a listening ear. He was so kind. Then, if I know that I want people to say that, then I can intentionally create that for
Yeah.
myself.
And that's the key word, intentionality.
Yeah.
Because you and also you want to have a good legacy.
Yeah.
So you gotta and self-assess. It's just like, you know what, there's certain things that I'm not strong at. There's certain things that I may not be doing right. And other people notice that about me. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but when you have a
Mhm.
humble spirit, you
Yeah.
recognize that it's for your good, right? So let me, first of all, everyone who's here, like, share, subscribe. This is so far an amazing conversation. It's going to get even more deep. You need to follow the channel, which is on YouTube and on Facebook, and that way you can get notified on future broadcasts. So we're here with my good friend Robert Kennedy III. I want to ask you a question. We're talking about failure. We're talking about
Yeah.
success. We're talking about you are going to win, brother. I want you to open up.
Yeah.
You're gonna open up now. What would you say was your biggest failure, which led to your biggest comeback? Like, something that was devastating. You didn't know
Mhm.
how you were gonna make it. You're like, and you could even look at yourself and say that, man, I'm stupid, man. I messed that up major time. What have you ever had like one of those? What are you thinking? What in the
Yeah.
world was I thinking? But that
Yeah.
moment was a ended up becoming a blessing, because God catapulted you to a
Yeah.
new season, and it almost led you to say thank you for that failure. So,
Yeah.
tell us a situation in your
Man,
own.
I think we all have moments in our lives where we wish we could have had the moment again so that we could make some different choices
Hmm.
about. But I'm also at the space where I recognize that the choices that I've made have led me to be who I am right now. And I don't regret the choices. People ask the question, like, what do you regret in your life? I don't regret anything because the bad choices that I made have now given me the opportunity to share with someone else that choice and how they might begin to navigate their life. And maybe that's what God has for me. Maybe that's the ministry that he's led me to, right? Not that God predestined me to mess up in a certain way, right? But there have been all sorts of things, man. I think about my third business. I was at this place in my business where I decided that I wanted to scale. I decided that I wanted to hire more people and get larger contracts. And so I got this one contract, and I was not able to, we didn't have capital up front to pay everybody. So I decided that I was going to do this thing called invoicing or factoring, right? For those of you that are in business, don't do that. For those of you that are in business, pretty much what it means is that you get some company to lend you money on the promise that you will invoice for that amount, in the future as a part of the contract, and then they charge you interest on that, etc. So I was doing that, and I didn't plan effectively, and I went ahead and I started paying different things, different contracts out of this factoring money, and before I knew it, this entire thing exploded. I had one contractor that worked, that ate up about 60% of our budget in about 20% of the time. And so it was just this crazy time, right? And so I'm losing money. No money's coming in. I've got three kids at home. My wife works, but we've built our life on both of our budget and salary at this point, and I'm not contributing at this point because there's nothing to contribute, and so things are just exploding, and we get to this place where we have to we've got to move out of our house. We've moved out of a house. We 3,000 plus square foot home, and we got to move into an apartment.
Wow.
And that was one of the most humbling moments, um because you kind of get, not that you're proud or arrogant, but people come to your house like, oh, it's a nice house, nice place, and then our kids are at the place where they're telling their friends, oh yeah, we got a nice house, and then
Then it's like,
you
yo.
you got to explain, we're in an apartment, now. Right.
Yeah.
And so but going through that, number one, it allowed, and we got sued and all sorts of stuff in that moment, in that time. So it was just like a lot of crazy stuff happening. But what happened was that it allowed me to think about business differently. My
Mhm.
gosh, if we had time, I will go through all this, but it allowed me to also listen to my wife differently. I
Mm.
mean, our relationship went through some stuff. My wife, um, she wasn't going to leave me, but she said she felt like it.
Yeah, listen, man, when the bills,
Right.
I no, no, no. Let's stay
Yeah.
there for a minute, because one of the
Yeah.
things with ladies, and ladies, please chime in if you
Mhm.
agree with us, is that, again, we're on motivation moments. Women, I don't care if you are a corporate woman or you're a
Mhm.
blue collar woman or you're a homemaker, whatever you are. There is
Yeah.
not a woman that I know that's married or in a tight relationship that does not want security on all levels,
Mm. Yep.
right?
Yep.
Financially, emotionally, all that. Love making is so much better when the bills are paid and you're not afraid that the lights are going to get cut off.
We had that. We had
I'm
that
keeping
happen.
it 1,000, man.
Yeah.
Ladies, comment in the comments if you agree with that. Romance without finance makes no sense. I get it. So when the bills aren't being paid and when
Yeah.
things are stressful, it will it will affect your marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had to go through some stuff, man. I think, and one of the hardest things for her was that I am, I'm not anybody's good employee, right?
Mm-mm.
Um, and when she met me, I was a teacher. I was a classroom teacher. I was a high school science teacher when she met me. And at that point, we're in this apartment, and she's kind of like thinking and saying out loud, "Dude, why don't you just go back to teaching? You were good at that. You know how to do that. You have your degree, blah blah blah. All you need to do is get your certification again, blah blah blah." And man, I just could not,
Mm.
because I was also at this space where I was like, man, if I do that, it's gonna be this detour away from where I know that God is leading me. And I mean, if I go back through all of the different stages of failures, being fired, being let go, losing jobs, etc. Um, inside of all of that was God saying to me, dude, stop trying to do it your own way. Stop trying to depend on other people for your finance. Stop trying to depend on other people for your sustenance, right? I've got you, and I've built you a certain way. I've built you as a dreamer. I've built you as somebody who's creative. I've built you as somebody with ideas. I've built you as somebody who's a little bit impatient with progress when it goes a certain speed, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how I built you. That, that's how I built you, right?
Hmm.
And so I had to get to a place where I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I have to trust that God is going to take care of my family while we figure this out, because I certainly cannot do it in my own strength. Me deciding that I'm going to go work for UPS or go back to teach isn't going to solve this thing. And
Yeah.
so it was that time where we do, my wife and I, and we had I just had to put my head down and rebuild a business, And so, yeah, we've been about 10 years strong now. And it's just been, business has continued to grow. We've continued to niche down. Now we are niched down into the real estate space. And it's just been this journey. And she says to me all the time, nothing is wasted. All of these different things that we've been through, all of the different disappointments, all of the lessons that we've learned, nothing is wasted, because all of that makes up who you are and how you reach people, and your personality and your energy that you're able to give to people now is because of those experiences that you've been through, and the joy that you have that that you made it over that mountain and you got some more to come.
Yeah. So, and that's a wonderful story. How long have you been married now? This has been like over 15 years, right? 20 years?
This August was 23 years.
23.
August 23.
Listen up, everyone. 23 years, and
Yeah.
your marriage will go through some storms.
Yeah.
But praise God for your wife, and praise God for you that you held it together. But in the midst of all of that, and that's a wonderful story.
Hmm.
Let's go back to the topic.
Yeah.
Did you feel in the midst of these setbacks that you were a winner?
Bruh, I was numb. I was just, it was, I felt like I felt like I was letting my family down. I felt like I was I was kind of caught in the middle of you gotta go, you gotta put your head down and do something, but you don't exactly know what you need to do. But um you still need to bring some money into this piece, right? And
Yeah.
I felt like I was letting my family down, and I fought every day to not allow that to overtake me. In
Mm.
situations like that, it's easy for people to get into depression, right? It's
Yes.
easy for people to just kind of get overwhelmed by feelings, and I had to read, I had to pray, I had to get out of my house, I had to walk, I had to spend time with God, I had to just really sometimes plead with God. And and it's and the the most aggravating thing is like you're in those moments and you're pleading with God and you ain't hearing nothing.
Oh, Jesus. Talk about that. It's the
you
worst.
ain't hearing,
The,
dude.
the most frustrating thing is like,
Yeah,
Lord, I need a sign. I
yeah,
need direction. So
yeah,
Lord, if it really is your will, make the fleece wet and the ground
yeah,
dry. And what
yeah,
happens is that nothing is wet. So it's
yeah,
like, Lord, did you hear what I need you to do?
yeah,
It's like, and it's like, Lord, where are you? The moments where you don't hear God is like
yeah.
the scariest part. But I've always something to that point is
Hmm.
that I always use the analogy. You said that you were a teacher, right? I remember
Mm,
when I was in school or when I was in college, it's like whenever we are tested, that's when your teacher's silent because
man.
he can't be teaching you when you're tested. But
Right.
rest assured, because God is not an unfair God and he's not a tyrant, he's
Mm,
never going to give you a test that he has not given you the answer to in the training, right?
wow.
So, what type of an educator would you be if you're giving a test and you never taught the material before the test,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's the way God is. So, when God is silent, know that he's equipped you with
That's
the
dude. That's so good.
information
That's so good.
before the test. You got to go
Yeah.
back in your Bible, go back to a sermon, go back to a book, go back to whatever resources that occurred
Yeah.
before the test, and the answer is there for the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. 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 That's
Yeah,
man. That's good.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. And if you
Yeah.
fail the test, it's only because you did not take the lessons from prior to the test. And God will give you a repeat test
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over until you get it because he
Yeah.
wants you to get it.
Yeah.
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 So
Man. Yeah. That's so. I'm gonna use that one. I
you
might
please
give
go
you
ahead.
some credit. I might give you credit for
I'll
the
give you my
teacher
cash app.
silent thing during the test. But
I'll give you, yeah, yeah. Gregory.
yeah. Let's
We're
go.
here with we're here with Robert Kennedy III with Motivation Moments. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and follow. Hey, listen, we're talking about scriptures, right?
Yeah.
What and that I love what your the story of the transparency and the vulnerability, what you said, because a lot of times men we want to feel like we got it together. And I love the fact that you listen to your wife. And I love the fact, based on what you're telling me, that your
Hmm.
wife never emasculated you because of the situation, but stuck
Right.
by you and worked with you. Yes, there might have been some arguments, as us Jamaicans say,
Yeah.
sometimes teeth and tongue will meet.
Yeah.
But she stuck by you and you made it worth it for her to
Yeah.
stick by you. You didn't play her
That's
the
right.
fool, right?
That's right.
So it was tough, but y'all made it. That's very inspiring.
Yeah.
What are your go-to scriptures when you go through these types of problems? Like what do you run to?
Man, there's so many good scriptures. There are a couple. Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plan to give you hope and a future.
Mhm.
Reminds me that God has this plan. Anything that I'm going through right now is not something that just kind of came up accidentally. God
Mhm.
foresaw this and he's already made a way for me on the other side of this.
Yes.
And so I love that. My other favorite one is Philippians 4:6 and 7, man. Be anxious for nothing,
Yes, sir.
but in everything with prayer and thanksgiving and supplication, make your requests known unto God, and the peace that passes all understanding will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Man, I don't even have to go through the rest of it. Just the be anxious for nothing part. Right? Just don't you worry about a thing. That thing is just whenever you start to feel um, worry or fear creep up on you, man. I remember during that whole situation where, the business was crumbling, we had at the time a Cadillac Escalade.
Ooh. What
Right?
color? What color? What color?
It,
What
it
color?
was it was pearl. It was white pearl, my dude. Yeah.
White
Yeah.
pearl.
Yes, sir.
And there's
Yes,
something
sir.
about I can say in Maryland, When you
Yeah.
driving them cars, like it's like the chocolate city of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
man in a nice car with a beautiful family and a nice
Yeah.
house. Yes,
Brother
sir.
man. So we have this Escalade, and stuff is happening at this time, and our bills are not getting paid like they need to be.
Jesus.
And there were nights that I'm up waiting, watching to see if the repo dude was gonna come.
Yeah,
And you know, sometimes when you are worrying, you do some of the dumbest things. You're kind of like, if you, as I think back now, I'm kind of like, it's like up 2 o'clock in the morning looking through the window. Like, dude,
mm-mm.
what you gonna do? Jump out the window and jump in front of the tow truck?
Listen,
I mean,
my friends in Dr. Alana, we joke about this a lot. I say, listen, man, in the Kojic church, they talk about,
yeah.
have you ever walked the floor? You just walk the floor. What about your bed?
Yeah.
That's long form for pacing. When you walk
Yeah.
the floor, amen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, dude, are you gonna give the tow truck driver a motivational speech and change his mind? He's gonna be like, oh, you know what? You're right. Let me leave your car right here.
You
no,
tell them it's the
no,
devil. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, in those times, you kind of you look at the text and you realize how silly
Mm.
worrying is, right? And I forgot a friend of mine said um, that worry is a mild form of atheism.
Mm. We need to type that in there. We need to put that in the
right?
bottom. Yes, sir.
Worry is a mild form of atheism. It's kind of like you're at the space where you're trying to figure out in your brain how you can handle something.
Mm.
Right? You know that you don't have the capacity, but you're trying to you're trying to figure out the future of something. You're actually creating stories in your brain about the future of something that are not true. Number one, it hasn't
Right.
happened yet. You have no control over the future. I mean, except in the immediate. You can choose actions. You can make actions. What happens with those actions are beyond your control, right? But I mean, worrying, sitting up and worrying.
That's not it. It's like being in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth, and thinking that you're
Yeah,
gonna get to New York when you're living in Boston. No,
yeah,
sir.
yeah.
No, that's not it. And that's thank you, Dr. Leno, for worrying as a mild form of atheism. Someone needs to hear that. Someone may be
Yeah.
worrying right now about everything. Listen, you're a winner. You're a
Mm-hmm.
winner. Shout out to Michael Claiborne and the Commanders. He's going to come on a couple of weeks. But one of the things, if you're a commander, you can command your morning. You don't
Mm.
have to worry about anything. Yes, you can be concerned. Yes,
Yeah.
you should have an action plan, but worrying is taking God out of the equation and thinking that you can do it all yourself. So I
Yep.
agree with you with that.
Yep.
With the few minutes we have left, I wanted to also ask you this question, and I love your scriptures. One of my favorite scriptures, Psalms 37:35. I've never seen the righteous
Mm.
forsaken or or him
See
begging bread.
begging bread.
See begging
Yeah.
bread. Thank you. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I know for myself that if I'm a part of the righteousness of God, if He's covered me with His righteousness, He is
Yeah.
not gonna make me fall on my face for trusting and believing in Him and living for Him.
That's
Living
right.
for God will pay off, and their dividends and benefits. Bless the Lord, oh my soul,
And
Psalm
all.
103, and
Yep.
all that's within me, bless his holy name, and forget not his benefits,
Yep.
right? So that's so important. One final question before we conclude. Once again, if you're really enjoying this broadcast today, season 4, please write a comment. Please put a thumbs up in whatever mode you're using, Facebook or YouTube. This is Motivational Moments with my special guest, Robert Kennedy III.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to somebody who does not feel like they're winning, and how they can change their paradigm and their mindset to a
Wow.
winning attitude in the midst of their struggle or in the midst of their situation or challenge.
What advice, man? There's so much advice that we can give. I think the simplest thing that I can say is be like a baby. Be like a
Mm,
baby. I think we talked about this earlier. Babies, they're born into this world and they're curious. Their eyes at some point, once they begin to be able to focus, they kind of see the world around them and they see the people that love them and the people that are interacting with them. And so they look at their father, they look at their mother, and they see that, wait a minute, they're upright, they're walking, they're doing these things, and they look at that and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to be, that's what I want to be like, that's what I want to do. And so at some point, parents put them on the floor, and babies, they start to crawl to move around. And if babies were satisfied with simply moving, they
mm.
would move around, they would continue to crawl for the rest of their life, because that's a form of motion, and it gets them from point A to point B. But no, it's not just about the motion, it's about being like the father,
Yes.
being like the parent, right? And so the baby then says, you know what, I'm going to pull myself up on this chair, I'm going to pull myself up on the side of this crib, I'm going to pull myself up on the side of this table, because I want to be like father, I want to be like mother. And they go through and they fall, and sometimes they may even skin their knee, or sometimes they may even hurt themselves, but they continue to push forward because they want to be like father. They want to be like mother. So
Right.
for those who feel like you're failing, the question is, who do you want to be like? Do you want to be like the father? Do you want to be like the parent? Do you want to be like Jesus? If you have a desire, if you've got a goal, if you've got a mentor, if you've got a model, and you want to be like that model. Now, I'm not talking about the earthly models that will fail you. I'm not talking about the earthly models that'll let you down and disappoint you. I'm talking about the one that is rock solid, right? If you have that rock solid vision in front of you, who do you want to be like? Then know that fall, know that trip, know that struggle, know that thing is just a part of the process to get you closer to your model. Be
Mhm.
like a baby
Be
and
like a
continue to
baby.
try to take that next step.
Be like a baby. I like that. I like that. And being a baby and being a child, you're always open to learning. You're always
Yeah,
like always. When you stop learning, you will. When you stop growing, you start dying.
yeah,
So don't let your failure define you. Right?
yeah,
You're a winner, and when you're in God, when you're in Christ, it's a fixed fight. You're gonna win.
hmm,
Right?
yeah,
You're gonna take some blows. There might be some battles, but the war you will win. And
yeah.
just gotta. That's where your faith comes in, man. That's where
That's it.
your stick to itiveness comes in. And just even though it might be a hard situation, learn from it. Do your
Yeah.
best not to repeat it, and know that you will win in the end. Robert, this has been incredible. Could you tell us how our audience can reach out to you and connect with you through social media, through your website?
Yeah.
Tell us, well, the books that you have, the products, services, all that type of stuff.
Man, you asking for the litany. So I'm gonna just make it real easy for people. You can find me on all of the socials. You can find me on my website. You can find me on my business website. You can easily look me up. But the easiest way is just to go to getintouchwithrk3.com, and all of my socials, everything's right there. My online business card, getintouchwithrk3.com. You can email me from there. You can call if you need. You can set appointments. Yeah, you can buy any resources that'll be helpful to you if you need that. So yeah, just get in touch with rk3.com and let's connect, people. Let's do it.
Yeah. Robert Kennedy III, it was awesome to have you here to kick off season 4. Remember, you are going to win.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to say if you want to pre order my book, You Love Me, But Do You Respect Me? Here's what it looks like. I'm one of the contributing authors. You can get this at www.sisterpamelapublishing.com. I have, I would love for you to pre-order that book, and we'll mail it out to you after the 12th. Give it about 3 to 4 weeks. And it'll be a great addition to your library. And you can also go on there and order the 522 Man and all the other products and services as well. So please, thank you, Dawn, so much. And thank you, Renee. Please know that you are a winner. And we're here every Sunday at 8 o'clock. We're in season 4. This is just the beginning. If you have not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. Subscribe to this channel. Like, share, subscribe. Follow my boy, Robert Kennedy III. Follow me as we continue to follow the Lord. And until next time, thank you again to Dr. Alana for doing an amazing job producing. Thank you for them little dancing emojis too, Robert. The cow is awesome. And listen, remember to be encouraged, to be inspired, and to be motivated. Motivation moments with your boy. We out. God bless you.